So everyone's always said that you need a college degree to make good money, but I personally know guys making over 100 grand per year with zero degree, zero student debt, and people are just now starting to talk about it. And the craziest part is some of these jobs are in such demand that they can't even find enough people to fill them. So as you know, I'm a blue collar worker myself and I make pretty decent money, and I didn't really take the traditional college route. So in this video, I'm going to break down real jobs that can realistically get you to six figures. And I'll tell you exactly why most people overlook them. So here's the problem. Most people are told there's only one path to success. You graduate high school, you go to college, you get a degree, and you get a decent paying job. But what they don't tell you is that traditional college path usually comes with $50,000 to even $100,000 of student debt and starting salaries that aren't even close to six figures. And that leaves the rate of return on a 4-year degree not looking so hot, especially with artificial intelligence taking a lot of white-collar jobs. Meanwhile, there's an entire world of skilled trades and industrial type jobs where companies are literally desperate to hire workers. So the first job I'm going to talk about today is chemical plant or power plant operator. So this is what I've been doing for the past 9 years, and it's treated me fairly well. So yes, I did take a 2-year associate's program to help me land this job, but it's not required. In fact, a lot of the guys and girls that I work with only have a high school diploma. So starting in base pay is normally around $80,000 to $120,000, but with overtime, we see guys and girls easily making $150,000 to even $200,000. Now obviously these operator jobs are swing shifts, so that means you'll be working night shift, weekends, holidays, your birthday, so on and so forth. But these jobs will rapidly accelerate your wealth building journey. And again, no degree is most of the time not required, just on the job training and a willingness to work. So the second job I'm going to talk about is a lineman or working on power lines. These guys and girls literally go out in the storms and keep our power on. In fact, when hurricanes or bad storms hit pretty much anywhere in the country, that's where these guys and girls make the real money. Pay can easily hit $100,000 or more, and in some cases way higher, especially when it comes to working overtime and of course traveling. And yes, this work is obviously dangerous, but if you work at a safety focused company and follow the procedures that they have in place, accidents aren't nearly as common. And at the local power company where I'm located, a lot of guys that work there, they make six figures, but they're also sleeping in their own bed every night, which is huge, and it's pretty cool for just working in your local community. And yes, most linemen today have been through some sort of trade school, but there's still power companies out there that offer paid apprenticeships. So the third job I'm going to talk about today is an instrument and electrical tech, or as we call them, I&E techs. So these guys and girls are working on controls, sensors, automation, control valves, especially in plants and refineries. And that means when level controllers on a vessel, on a drum or a column fail, these guys come to the rescue. So most of these jobs require some sort of trade school, maybe take a year or two before hiring on, but there's still a good amount of on-the-job training out there, and most of the time this on-the-job training is paid, and paid well. And of course, these jobs offer a good amount of overtime as well because, as I said, these I&E techs work in refineries and power plants, which operate 24/7. So if an instrument breaks on Saturday night at 2 a.m., guess who they're going to call to come repair it? And guess who they're going to pay pretty well to make that simple repair? And most of these guys and girls that are I&E techs have some sort of side hustle as well on the residential side, just basically an electrician. So with that being said, with a little overtime and a good company, an I&E tech or an electrician can easily make $100,000 per year. So the last job I'm going to talk about today is traveling welders. And if you're willing to travel, this job gets pretty crazy. Being a pretty good welder and willing to travel is huge. It's always short contracts, high pay, 24/7, these short jobs. So $100,000 per year is easily achievable. So knowing how to weld on special types of metal and equipment demands high pay, especially if it's for a very important turnaround where the company is trying to minimize that plant or refinery downtime. And yes, I have seen welders work pretty hard, especially if they're welding in a high heat environment or an odd location. But most of the time, being a specialty welder is pretty sweet. And yes, you can also find many welding jobs at home, but the real money, the real pay is on the road. And I would recommend the traveling welding jobs, the working the shutdowns, if you don't already have a spouse and kids at home, because it basically pays you to get out and see the country, and you're making really good money while you're doing it. Now, let me be real with you. Not all these jobs are really easy, cushy jobs. You'll be working the nights, the weekends, the long hours. And that's why most people, even myself included, overlook these blue-collar jobs when I graduated high school. But here's the trade-off. You can build real wealth without being in all that student debt. And that's the part that nobody really talks about. So of course, every job I listed in this video does require some sort of training or trade school, but most of the time these trade schools, especially nowadays, are subsidized. And of course, you're gonna have on-the-job training as well, so they might not pay you full pay until you get trained up a year or so. But I feel pretty confident that if you were graduating high school next month, you can easily land one of these jobs, be trained up, and be making 100 grand or more by the time you're 21 years old. Now, of course, it won't be easy, but if you get one of these jobs when you're 21 years old, save, invest properly, by the time you're 45, you might not even have to really work anymore. So if you're tired of hearing that college is the only way to build wealth, of course it's not. There's real opportunities out there. You've just got to be willing to go after them. Anyway, I appreciate you watching the video, and I'll see you again next week.